This is Sean from Shootie School. Consider subscribing if you like my content. Are we going to talk about the EZDrummer 3 sounds today and go click, click, I like that, don't like that? Today, we're going to investigate on how to optimize your workflow so you can find your sounds as fast and efficient as possible. When you first move to a new location, you don't know where the right stores to shop at are. You don't know all the back roads so you can best decide what routes to take. You end up taking obvious visual routes, or you get a GPS to guide you. In our case, EZDrummer 3 does not have one workflow. You can reverse engineer their workflows depending on your taste. But how fast and efficient you work depends on how well you know the area you live in. Once you're done with the honeymoon phase of visually clicking around in EZDrummer 3, consider looking at the layout, not just the clickbait. Let's define a few things and have some fun getting to know our atmosphere. From a sounds perspective, EZDrummer 3 should be looked at in these groups: libraries, library presets, drum kits, and individual instruments. If you remember these terms, you will follow my videos with ease because I enjoy using the proper tune track terminology, also known as 𝗪𝗪𝗡𝗧𝗏, tune track's native language. A library is typically an entire tune track product. Before EZDrummer 3, an entire library, which is known as an EZX, are described either by genre or theme. For example, the claustrophobic EZX implies a small dead space your drum kit was recorded in, and it has the sounds to back up its title. And the metal EZX is simply a typical metal sounding library that doesn't relate to the room that it was recorded in. It's either theme or genre is what describes the library you choose from within this menu here. Now the new EZDrummer 3 core libraries change this a bit. It contains 3 separate libraries that are defined by the room they were recorded in, not by genre and not necessarily by theme. The core libraries of EZDrummer 2 and EZDrummer 3 typically have a bigger variety than the average EZX. EZDrummer 3 is a core program that comes with 3 libraries, and EZXs are additional libraries that you purchase separately. Let me load EZDrummer 3's Bright Room library. Whether the graphics behind these libraries are accurate or not, we can hear the room these kits were recorded in is highly reflective. We hear the instruments sustain more, and we hear more high end in the EQ, whether it's totally natural or processed. This room also has the most instrument pieces, 18 including the percussion instruments over here. When we load the main room, we hear a drastic change. The few times I've been in a major recording studio that has multiple rooms, this would typically be called Studio A, which is the typical main room. And by typical, I don't mean anything negative. This is the go-to room for the sound that the studio is known for. The high end here has rolled off a bit compared to the bright room, and the sustain is not exaggerated. This being the default kit when you launch EZDrummer 3 is no surprise. This room has 16 instruments in total. When we load the last EZDrummer 3 library, the tight room, this is obviously a smaller room with more acoustic treatment to tame reflections or ambience. Even though half of the graphic contains large glass doors, let's use our ears and not our eyes when we make these types of choices. The sustain in the instruments barely exist, and the EQ is pretty flat. So if you've taken a small tour and have acknowledged to yourself what these 3 separate libraries sound like, when you start production on your next song, you can make important decisions faster, which will get you to your destination more efficiently. I'll load the main room library back up. So a library preset in most cases, not all cases, is what you select after you decide which library you want to work with. I'll play a quick beat from the browser tab. Imagine you are next to the mixing console in Hansa Studios with your recording engineer, and you asked him or her to give you completely different sounds. By adjusting levels, effects, swapping out different kit pieces, and adjusting the tunings of these different kit pieces. Except in this case, it happens instantly as you click your mouse here. If we reveal the drop-down menu by clicking here, we see separate drop-down menus near the top that imply who has created this group of library presets. In this case, either the main dude, Michael Ilbert, or the Toontrackians. And sometimes you'll see original mix, which implies what it seems. I would guess this was their template they used before making the other library presets, so consider it another preset to check out. I will cover user library presets as we see here in elite depth in another video, but if you've created something you want to later recall instantly in the future, save a user library preset by clicking Save As and naming the file for your recollection. Though we have defined to ourselves what the individual libraries sound like, the library presets can help us change those preconceived observations. By making a dry room sound wet, for example. So now that we've chosen a library, we now know a library preset can completely change the vibe of that default library preset. In this case, when we load the main room library, Studio Basic is the default library preset. And as we spend more time playing with library presets, we'll start making decisions faster and take that time savings and apply it to actual writing and producing music, not aimless tweaking. It's like planning a day of running errands in your area. You don't just go out in impulse buy like a vacation day off. You plan your routes as effectively as possible and already know what task is at which location and in which order you want to execute it. Furthermore, spend some time with library presets. Remember the names of the ones you like for your common tasks. Drum kits are interesting. Let's look at the Toontrack site. It boasts 7 different drum kits. If you're a more visual than technical person, listen to me on this one, because I see a brown, a red, and an orange kit to choose from, and I have no problem signing off on that and not looking back. So when we first load our first library, the Bright Room, and peek in our preset menu, you'll see drum kits near the bottom. We can empty the kit for a blank canvas, but what's below are the modern rock and vintage rock drum kits. So here's 2 of the 7 kits that Toontrack is talking about, or at least to me that's my strongest assumption since this stuff is simply not explained. If we load the modern kit, we'll get Gretsch toms, the Big Chief snare, and pasty cymbals, or peisty depending on how it's actually pronounced. If we load the vintage kit, we will get a full Ludwig kit. If you remember what drum brand you like hearing, it might be worth remembering which drum preset has the brand you like. A time saver indeed. When we load the main room library, we use the studio kit. Here we have Yamaha shells and pasty cymbals. And if we load the singer-songwriter kit, we have CNC drums instead. It seems there was no third tom recorded in this session. If I wanted one, maybe I should just put yet another 10 by 14 inch tom in that available slot like this. And then I can detune it to make its pitch match the other toms in sequence. Now we've covered 4 of the 7 kits at this point. Our last library, the Tight Room, it seems like we have a lot more drum kits here. But as we investigate, the first 2 classic pop are very similar with Ludwig kit pieces and Istanbul and Zildjian cymbals. Loading the towel kit just adds towel muffling, a common recording technique, to the first 2 toms. So those 2 drum kits represent our 5th kit we've been searching for. If we load up the tight and punchy kit, we'll have a minimal kit of just Premier toms and Maisie Hollywood snare. But don't forget, if you see an instrument grayed out, you can add something that's not originally included in this drum set. So that's our 6th drum kit. And the last 2 drum kit presets represent our 7th drum kit named Hip Hop and R&B. They both have Istanbul cymbals, but the first preset has all Gretsch pieces with a dampened kick. And the second preset has a Ludwig snare and a non-dampened kick. That's our drum kit presets, not to be confused with library presets. And a warning is this: if you spend time tweaking your drum kit and you change your library preset, your work will be lost. But the undo command will save you right away if you notice your error early on. When you complete customizing a drum kit, for now, save it as a library preset before moving on. In fact, it's a pretty clunky workflow. Toontrack has yet to implement user drum kit presets into EZDrummer 3 like we had in EZDrummer 2. They've said they are working on it though, and until then, you will not be able to test your custom drum kit on different library presets. You're going to have to rebuild it every single time. When this feature is added, I will make a specific video on user preset workflows, so sub to my channel and check my description to see if that video's out yet. Now, if that paragraph just went right over your head, listen to this. Find the library preset you like before changing drum presets or customizing your drums. That's all you need to remember until user drum kits become available in a future update. I'll load up the main library. Now, finally, the instruments. Not only do we play the producer in EZDrummer, but we get to be the drum tech as well. On the far right are the percussion instruments. They are present on every library you use. They work perfectly and naturally when used and triggered within EZDrummer 3. But if you're trying to trigger them with external hardware and you're having issues, watch my future hit video. Link is in the description. Toontrack boasts it has 14 kicks, 24 snares, 30 toms, 6 hi-hats and rides, 16 crashes, 3 splashes, 2 chinas, and a bunch of alternate percussion. So let's get into it. You may have noticed that when I right-click on an instrument, it reveals a menu where you can select more instruments and swap your current one out. Now, even though we only have access to 6 kick drums in this menu, there are plenty more. So why is this menu limiting us? For people who really particularly care about continuity will appreciate this limiting list because it represents the instruments that were recorded in the same specific room, so you can trust. Alright, this is a strong assumption, by the way. So you can trust that what you select in the drop-down menus here or over here can mix and match safely the sound or ambience of the rest of the drums from this library. It's fantastic. Now, if you're more like myself, who creates a lot of hard rock or metal compositions and your high gain mixes don't really allow the listener to hear the nuances of the room and the little details, but just the tones and the attack of the transients, you may feel more comfortable mixing and matching any instrument you can find in your entire Toontrack collection by selecting this drop-down menu, selecting the product you want a snare from, any product you own, and then selecting the snare itself. Since I have every EZX, I can literally load any of 1,000 snares right here, right now. Now, when you click on a drum with your mouse, you audition its sound at its highest velocity. If you open up the instrument's properties panel, you can click on this velocity preview pad to hear different velocities. Remember, though we hear different volumes clicking on this, velocity is not volume. This is the volume knob here. Though velocity can affect perceived volume, it really means how hard the instrument is being struck, which will result in different tones and dynamics. Now, regardless of where you click in the velocity preview pad, when auditioning a new instrument, you will still hear 100% velocity on the first click, no matter what. Because of this, I personally like to hover my mouse in a low velocity area on the velocity preview pad and click twice to hear 2 different velocities before moving on, like this. Alternatively, you can use your keyboard up and down arrows, or you can use these little menu up and down arrows. Again, 100% velocity every time. As you search for your special sauce custom drum kit, you may run into what's called a stack. There are only 4 stacks available by default, and you should know you're triggering them if you see this icon. I have a video just on preset stacks. Look at my description for the link. Lastly, you can adjust your individual instrument volume here in case your kit seems unbalanced. This is very handy when your mixer tab has limitations. And there's a great tuning knob here to tune your kit to your preference, or even use it as a utility if you need a quick piccolo snare or a makeshift splash. And lastly, EZDrummer 3 is now accepting one-shot samples. You can literally drag and drop an audio file in this drop zone here, or directly on the instrument, and instantly be playing one of your one-shots. I have an advanced one-shot workflow video on my channel. The link is in the description. Here's a power tip for beginners that I only mention at the end because I didn't want to talk over playing drums the entire video. Before I start finding the kit sound that I want, I might find a drum beat that matches the style that I'm pursuing. I'll play the drum beat right out of the Grooves tab, and from there, I can audition libraries in real time. I can audition library presets in real time, then audition drum kits in real time, and then audition individual instruments in real time. Hearing all the criteria being auditioned in real time to a project-related beat is definitely a productive workflow. And I'll remind you one more time, did you notice the order I said those things? This is a good recommended workflow for beginners. Find the library you want, find the library preset you want, then find the drum kit you want, then start customizing your drums. At that point, you save your work as a library preset. I hope that after you watch this video, you feel more comfortable in your EZDrummer 3 atmosphere and you can get from point A to point B faster and more efficiently. Do subscribe to my channel for more EZDrummer 3 material, and know that I don't put ads on any of my videos unless they have more than 1,000 views. That's incentive for you to ring the bell and watch my videos right away, ad free. If I've ever made your day, consider contributing to me, or if you want to chat with me or like-minded individuals, check out the Facebook and Discord groups that I'm a part of. All the links to those things are in the description. I'd appreciate a comment below if you got something out of this video. Rock on.